Come on, guys. I've been waiting to come back. I've been dying to see you guys for 4 days. And you come back and like, this is what I come back to? Like, I'll fucking go back on the plane, dude.
Okay, so let's record the intro now.
So what did Milkless? Because I think we start with the name.
Two dads. We love our kids, but then we also need them to know that we're like pretty cool and it's not like a wimpy podcast. So, hey, hey, Milkless.
Hey, welcome. Hey,
Milkless. Call the audience, Milkless. What's up, Milkless? Max coming at you.
What if that's it? That's our first take.
All right, Matt, we're back. We're talking about work trips. We're talking about work travel. We're talking about leaving your kids. This is going to be one of our method acting podcasts because you're about to go on a trip. You're leaving tonight, tomorrow?
I'm leaving tomorrow, and I just got back, too. I was in Park City, where, among other things, I stayed and hung with you. And then tomorrow I go to Chicago, and then from there to Iowa for a shoot.
All right.
I think there's like a couple of different pieces to this. One is like the way I feel about it, and then two is managing that with my partner, and then third is like managing that with the kids. So let's start with me. Okay. I feel guilty when I leave. Did you get that when you would have to go on work trips? Do you feel bad?
Yeah, honestly, I feel like maybe we've said it before on the show. Like I used to absolutely dread leaving, and I still do. The whole lead up, I kind of like have like negative thoughts. I'm like, well, I'm definitely going to die on this plane. So my kids are going to grow up without a father. So just better kiss him for the last fucking time,
wow.
Tomorrow.
Yeah, you went dark.
Better.
Yeah.
Not actually, but I'd have that in my subconscious.
Yeah.
And I'd just be kind of, stressed about leaving. I'd feel bad about my partner. Oh my God, she's got to do all these kids by themselves. It was just
certainly that. Yeah. Cause it is hard to find a work trip that is as hard as being a single parent. So I almost always feel like when I leave, I'm like, this is like harder on my spouse than it is on me.
Right.
I had a couple of kind of new thoughts this time because I was really dreading leaving, but I for the first time I was able to separate out a couple of things. One was, I don't want to leave because I'm going to miss my kids and I don't like being away from home. Like that's in there. But that I need to separate that feeling, which is just like nice. In a way, it's like a nice bad feeling. It's like I love my kids, so I miss my kids. I need to separate that feeling out from the idea that I shouldn't be doing this. Because when I really had the conversation with myself, I stepped back and I was like, I don't go to a lot of conferences of this kind. I go to this one every year because it's the best one I've ever been to, and business development is as or a more important part of my business than doing the work. And this was a really conscious choice to go here. And also you and I were going to work together while I was there.
Which one could say would make you a better parent and make your kids' lives better. Just saying.
You're welcome, children. But I for the first time, I was able to separate out the feeling of just like, I really don't want to leave from that guilt. And the other thing that I was able to separate out a little bit, do you ever, like, once your family's in bed, do you ever go, like, out to meet a friend after you put the kids to bed and maybe the wife tucks in early?
Yeah, I've done that.
Every time as I'm driving away, there's a little bit of me that's like, Oh, it muted your sneeze.
I muted it.
You muted it?
That clicks the button.
Oh, man. Yeah, you're quick on the draw. In post, I'll just put in a sound that goes like, chew.
Please do. Confuse the listeners. Please do, though.
Yeah, absolutely. But so when I drive away, if I'm going to play tennis or if I'm going to meet a friend for a drink and everybody's in bed, there's always a little pang as I'm driving away from the house that like I shouldn't be leaving. And I think what that is this ape thing that like I'm the night watchman. Like,
oh, wow.
I'm the one that's going to kill anybody that might try to fuck with things. I just have to recognize that like my family is safe.
Yeah.
And that I'm not abandoning some posts to go do this thing. And then I can have those feelings because maybe those feelings are really, whether it's like those are old ape feelings or whether those are feelings from my childhood when we had some scary stuff happen at night in my house. I can have those feelings, but recognize them for what they are. And so really, once I'd had that conversation with myself, I was like, okay, this is hard to leave because I'm sad to leave the kids. I do feel bad that it's going to be harder for my wife. But all those other negative feelings I can let go of.
But when you leave, are you then also kind of worried or guilty? Because my thing is like, mine's all anxiety up until the trip because I feel like I'm going to miss them. When I leave, I completely forget about my family. I forget their names. I don't FaceTime.
I adopt new children.
Yeah, I don't FaceTime a single person. I have to remember to text my wife every day to let her know I'm not dead.
Yeah.
Like I know my wife's got it on lock and whatever. And then I come back and we can talk about the reentry period because I feel like there's always tantrums for some reason.
Oh yeah. Yeah. Once I'm there, it's not totally out of sight, mind for me. I do try to FaceTime the kids. Not every day necessarily, but at least like once every day or two. That can make things better or worse, you know? Because that can be like a reminder that you're gone for them.
Yeah.
But yeah, most of the negative feeling is leading up to the trip. And then the other negative feeling is like, if it's like a longer one, like 5 or 6 days, around like day 6, I'm like, who am I? Like, I don't like... There's just a weird kind of existential listlessness because so often such a huge piece of your identity is being a parent and you're just not.
No, that's true. I mean, it's really bizarre actually to get out of parent zone, especially when if you travel when the kid is like under 1 or 2 where your sleep is not very good. Mm-hmm. And then you're like getting good sleep and it's bizarre to be out there in the world and you kind of remember who you are as an individual.
Yeah.
Which is wild.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, I always think like the reentry is always a pain in the ass. Let me throw you a study to round us out as we're fully we've dove here. Mm-hmm. So this is like a negative study why travel is bad. A trip here, a trip there, no big deal. But I think if you're traveling a lot, for maternal travel, an increase in mothers' travel nights is associated with lower levels of maternal knowledge about their child's daily activities. And that decrease correlates with higher externalizing behaviors in children, meaning like acting out at school, being aggressive, things like that. And paternal travel has a direct relationship with both externalizing and internalizing behaviors, but with daughters particularly affected. So not to put more on
Motherfucker.
I'm sorry. But like, I think it largely comes down to how long and how often it is. If it's like, 3 weeks out of the month all year round, that tracks. That makes perfect sense. Mm-hmm.
You're just going to have a different relationship with your kids at that point.
Yeah. If you're like a traveling salesman, trucker, mm-hmm. that's just a tough life. And I've seen a lot of things on the Reddit subreddit Daddit where people are, talking about their job. This is my job that I'm bringing in money for the family and I'm home 1 week a month. And it's really tough on the kids. Mm-hmm. And then there's a lot of really good community there talking about like, yeah, you really need to weigh that, because at that point, I think it does affect your family.
Sure. Yeah. But it's also not always a choice, right? Like it's not always a matter of I can just go get another job that will pay me the same way and where I'll be home more. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Totally.
I've known that with a lot of, we work with a lot of cinematographers, documentary cinematographers, and that's just what they sign up for. And many of them have fantastic relationships with their children, but they are necessarily different because their work is necessarily not where they live.
I mean, this gets into the reentry period. It's just something weird when you come back in. Like, I feel like the kids always cry. Because has this ever been said, like, by you or your partner? Like, I'll say it like me saying it. Come on, guys. I've been waiting to come back. I've been dying to see you guys for 4 days. And you come back and, like, this is what I come back to? Like, I'll fucking go back on the plane, dude.
Yeah.
I've said something like that. Like, it's always like, I think it's because the emotions of you back in mm-hmm. town, the veiled subconscious sadness of you being gone, now they let it come out and they're just acting out. The sibling rivalry is like amped up. Like the kids are just...
Well, anytime everything's heightened, even if it's good... It's like kids. How often do kids cry on their birthday, like at their birthday party? It's just like it's just overwhelming. One thing that I've tried to do, and I try to usually either like get home after they're asleep or with enough time left in the day that I'm not just like showing up at bedtime. And so often it's like I get home and then we leave. Like we go do something. Sometimes that's with my wife. Sometimes it's without. I mean, that's like definitely if I've been gone for 5 days and my wife's been solo parenting, I'm like, as soon as possible, I'm going to give you an empty house. Like me and the kids are going to go somewhere. And that has helped because it's not like just reinserting me back into the routine that I've been not a part of. It's like, nah, there's no routine.
Hey, daddy's out of the slammer.
Yeah. Yeah, right.
Hey, you still know me? You love me?
Yeah.
Can I make you some eggs?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. You know, the other thing that I have found though is like one thing that can set you up to fail is when you walk in the door, like expecting it to be a certain way. Because I will get the like both kids run screaming daddy, daddy, daddy and tackle you with the hug.
Yeah.
And that's amazing. But it's also like if you get home and they're in the middle of their show for the afternoon, they'll do that. And then they'll be like, I'm going to go back and watch my show. Do you want to come? And if you have in your mind that like, I'm going to wrap them up in a hug and then we're going to walk outside and we're going to sing songs together, then you get a little turbo because you're almost never walking into the fucking Norman Rockwell painting that you have in your mind.
When it does happen, I pretend to be Jimmy Stewart from It's a Wonderful Life. I'm like, Suzu, Jimmy, Johnny, like, do you know me? Suzu's pedals, Suzu, and I always hug them, and I say that. Like, you little ginger snap. And they're like, Dad, why are you doing the It's a Wonderful Life thing? But then every once in a while, like, one of the three doesn't come over, and I'm a little
butthurt?
You know.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm just like, what's up, dude?
Yeah.
Nothing? What, I'm not getting anything?
Yeah. I'm only your father.
Come kiss the ring. Honor me.
Yeah.
I was a soldier of Rome.
Yeah. I do wonder how often the explosiveness of that reentry is about like our expectations not quite being met and a vibe that gets created by that. I mean, it's definitely also the kids, but I think there's something there. You just kind of got to let it be what it is.
This episode is brought to you by the Milkless Patreon. If you want to keep listening, it's only going to cost $79.99 per month. We're going entirely offline, so you can no longer listen unless you pay $79.99 per month. Just kidding, it's fucking free. We're actually losing money on the episodes, but we love doing it for you. All we want is for you to tell a friend. Think about that one friend who listens to podcasts. They told you about serial podcasts. They told you about, and it's like, tell them about one.
Yeah.
And it's Milkless.
Just return the favor. The $79.99 does get you feet pics from Max. So if you're into that.
So do you FaceTime daily with the kids?
Every day or two, I would say. But I also will like, if I'm busy, particularly, I'll just make a video and send it to my wife for her to show to them. She'll send me videos of the kids. That can be a little less disruptive sometimes. And when I do FaceTime, the reason I like to FaceTime every day when I can is that it's like 3 minutes. They don't want to fucking sit on the FaceTime. I don't want to sit on the FaceTime. There's like a weird, like FaceTime is a little painful with your kids. That's not, I enjoy like doing this with you, even though we're in different places, because a big part of our relationship is conversation and the ability to make each other laugh. Like with my kids, it's like wrestling and playing and running around. You can't do it it doesn't translate. Right. So you're left with this shadow of what your relationship normally is. So I like to do it just so they know I'm thinking about them. So I don't have to buy them a gift when I get back just to show them I was thinking about them. They know I'm thinking about them. They get to say hi. I get to tell them I love them. But let's not dwell in this less than ideal scenario.
My wife and I are very anti-FaceTiming ever. I don't think I've done it once.
That's interesting.
Trip. Maybe once, but then they cried, and it was like, or not cried, but it just changed the dynamic. So we don't do it. One time, this is actually a pretty cool life pro tip that people can steal. My wife and I went away on a trip for 9 days without the kids, grandparents watching. And so what I did with my wife is I like use one of those little Instax Polaroid things. We took a picture of us each day, like doing something silly. So we had the grandparents take a picture of us, like her on my back, me holding her upside down, us both making a silly face. And then I wrote them a handwritten letter every day. And then there was like 3 Skittles each, or like a pack of Pokemon cards. Again,
just buy their forgiveness.
Just buy shit. But this is like little tchotchkes.
Yeah.
Again, to be honest, they probably would be happier with the Pokemon cards or the little pack of bubble gum than like a fucking FaceTime for me or anything. But so anyway, so I like wrote these letters like, hey guys, hope it's great. I also knew their schedule. I know Wednesday's pizza day. So it's like, hey, so today's pizza day. And they opened it every morning with the grandparents. What are you going to get? Pepperoni or cheese? Like missing you guys, like blah, blah, blah. And so it was a way for them to stay connected to us. And then I could write like, we'll be home in 3 days.
I do think what all that is getting at, like you're still in my thoughts. Like it's just like maintaining some kind of connection to them, even though you're not there.
Right.
That could be just sending videos. That could be the thing you set up ahead of time. I like that you mentioned, it's like, I knew which night was pizza night. It's like, oh, like we're still tracking along with each other, you know?
Yeah.
The other thing that I found really helped with this last trip, I mean, one, like my wife's mom came, and certainly whenever like she's with her family, I like my guilt level about having left goes way down, because I just know it's like, all right, you got to help. That's huge. But the other thing I did is I recognized going in that I was feeling really lousy about leaving, but I just had that conversation with my wife. Like, here's the reason this feels shitty, and I'm sorry I'm leaving you like this. Here's why, like, I do need to go to this thing. Of course I need to go to this thing. And if I hadn't had that conversation, I just would have felt guilty about leaving. And when you feel guilty about something, you telegraph to the people around you that you're doing something wrong. So it's like, you want your wife to be pissed at you about leaving on a work trip, just feel shitty about it and don't say anything. She'll be like, well, what is he going to do? But because I like just talked through it with her, and also like made plans for like, when I get home, I'm going to take these kids, we're going to go do stuff. We were just we stayed on the same team.
And it's like, if we get out of our own head for a minute, it always goes well. I mean, there's a viral like Instagram reel of this woman coming home from a work trip, and she's like asking the husband, like, how was everything? Was it hard? Was it hard? Did they miss me? And he's like, not really. It kind of went okay. Oh, was it horrible? Did they cry? Did they cry every night at dinner, at bedtime? They needed me, right? It was hard. It's like, yes, we are integral in our kids' lives. We're really good dads. We're very engaged. We're trying to get to parity in the workload with our spouse. Like, when we leave, it feels like we're leaving a vacuum, a void. But you've taken care of all 3 kids on your own. It's actually like, it's like weird. When the other person's gone, you kind of like buck up. You're like, okay, so now I got all of it.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah.
It's like harder to get 3 kids out the door for school when you're both kind of doing it.
Yeah.
But if it's just you start earlier. You're like, okay, we're gonna need to go. We need to go get ready.
You're on your program.
Okay.
Yeah.
I need shoes on, because it's like all on you. You know what I mean?
I do.
Bad.
Yeah, it's not so bad. I do think part of what is, there's another thing at play in that dynamic of the moms being like, was it hard? Did they cry? So one, you just want to feel like, oh, I'm needed around here. So you want to feel like it didn't just go off aces while you're gone. But there's also this thing, and there's actually some data about it, that kids just behave much worse with their mothers than they do with their dads. I mean, the other night, my wife went out to dinner with a friend, and I like did dinner time, and I got both kids ready for bed. And then she came home just in time to get one of the kids to bed. And dude, we were ready early because my daughters were just like, Dad, what do you like? How can we help? Like all night, they were just like, if we get ready quick, could we all get in bed together and read stories? And I was like, yeah. And then my wife gets home and they're just like, mine. And like, just like, they just started flipping their shit. And it was hilarious. And we had 2 meltdowns within 5 minutes of my wife getting home. So I do think that's also a dynamic that happens. Sometimes kids just aren't busting on their dads as hard as they are on their moms. I don't know what it is. It's like, I came out of you. I can do whatever I want to you. And the dads, it's like, true. It's still a little bit of a hairy ape. I got to be careful with this one.
I think there's that. They know that we could beat them to death.
I mean, so could their moms, technically. But
the alternative is, I think also like dads will sometimes bend the rules a little bit. It's like, I have my rules. I'm not a permissive parent. I am authoritative. I have my boundaries, and I fucking hold them to the nth degree. My barriers are a little different from my wife's. You know? Yeah. Like I'll let them eat a fucking banana right before dinner because it's a banana.
We always do that. You don't get a banana right before dinner? A banana anytime.
Yeah, but then it will spoil the appetite. You know, like, but if it's my show, I'm like, they're not going to eat. It's fine, whatever. Like, they'll eat it later in the fridge or something. And I think sometimes my wife just like likes it to be done the right way, you know? And it's like, nothing's better. It's not that it's better or it's worse. I think sometimes the looser parent, sometimes it's the mom too, just has an easier time, but kind of creates more chaos in the house.
Yeah, maybe
the
that's
house
it.
is a little more messy.
Yeah.
The kids aren't eating as healthy, but everything's copacetic. So I especially feel okay with buying the candy in the line when I'm alone with all three kids. Things just go easier. I don't know if my wife would see it that way, that like, oh, I'm alone with all three kids, I'm going to get the candy in the line.
Yeah.
She would not. She would keep the program going.
Yeah.
Because it's like, what's the difference? Big guy's out, same program.
Same program. Yeah.
Wife's out, a bit of a different program. We're going to like...
That's interesting. Yeah.
You know, we're going to...
Yeah. Yeah.
It's party time.
That's funny. That's not quite... When I'm gone, I'll sometimes FaceTime the kids and it's like Tuesday night. And they're like, we're watching a movie during dinner. And I'm like, yeah, cool. Like, we don't usually do that. But yeah, I get it. I think my wife bends it pretty good. But what can we take away from this conversation?
I think the first thing is just knowing that, like, you don't love your daughters enough to write them letters.
And
first of all,
you hate FaceTime more than you love your children. We know that now. And when they are out of sight, they are truly out of mind. Like, it's like they're not even,
Definitely.
They just blink out of existence.
Yeah. And just know that, like, every day you're gone, you know, you're pushing externalizing behaviors on your children.
Especially because they're daughters. You fucker.
No, I'm kidding. There is a quote from one of my sons when he was like 3 or something. He said to my wife while I was gone, he was like, oh, I wish my dad wasn't in business. Because I think it was like, where's daddy? Oh, he's away on business.
Yeah.
So it's like, I wish he wasn't in business.
Yeah, the town of Business, Nebraska. Yeah, that's good. Yeah. Oh, last thing. Do you? How long before you leave do you tell your kids you're going?
If it's a long trip, probably like a day or two.
Yeah, me too. Yeah, there's no reason to drag that shit out. Yeah.
No, like in 3 weeks, which is basically an eternity for you. You're gonna be a whole different child in 3 weeks. I will be abandoning you.
Yeah.
So please.
So just worry about that every night, motherfucker.
Start clinging to me.
Yeah.
But you don't want to also spring it on. I'm like, surprise.
Yeah. I won't be here tonight. No. Yeah. It's got to be. But I'm usually a day before kind of guy. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. Cool.
All right.
Word, man.
Well, have a good trip.
I will. Yeah. I'll holler at you when I'm back.
All right.
Adios.
This episode of Milkless is brought to you by Violet Archer in the case of the Purple Martin. Thank you. Bye.